cartoon of what the coronavirus looks like, magnified thousands of times. From this picture, you can see where it gets its name because it looks like a crown of thorns, and corona literally means crown in Latin. These thorns in the virus's crown are actually called spike proteins, and they really are the virus's key weapon to attack our bodies by attaching onto cells and invading them. Early last January, scientists from China published the genetic code for the virus on the internet so that folks from around the world could start working on it. You see these little squiggles here represent the genetic information for the virus. Scientists basically copied a tiny part of it that's responsible for making the spike protein.
As of March 2021, 9 leading vaccines are being used against the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Billions of people are waiting their turn to get vaccinated, while hundreds of millions of doses have already been shipped. All of the COVID-19 vaccines being used contain a so-called active ingredient. It's the ingredient in a pharmaceutical drug that is biologically active. All active ingredients have the same goal: to trigger our immune systems to make antibodies that fight against the coronavirus in our bodies. Coronavirus vaccines contain 3 main active ingredients: mRNA, which is used in the Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna vaccines; a viral vector, which is used in Oxford AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson; inactivated virus, which is used in Sinovac Biotech. mRNA, or messenger ribonucleic acid, is the genetic material that teaches the body how to make proteins.
I like to think of the mRNA vaccines like a fortune cookie. You have this messenger RNA to tell the body, make the spike proteins. But the mRNA is fragile and it gets broken down quickly, so we wrap it inside a ball of fat, or my fortune cookie, so it lasts long enough to get injected in our bodies and get the message to our cells to start making those spike proteins. With the mRNA wrapped in a little ball of fat to protect it, gets injected in our muscle.
These vaccines take a more direct approach that involves inserting the code directly into cells, either by attaching it to a molecule or by forcing it into cells using a gene gun. In both cases, the goal is to get a short fragment of genetic code taken from the target pathogen, in this case the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19, into the patient's cells. By hijacking the cellular mechanisms, these kinds of vaccines mimic the way viruses normally reproduce during natural infection. But rather than creating copies of the virus, the cells only produce large amounts of antigen.
And then our immune system sees it as something foreign that deserves to be attacked and starts ramping up our immune system to make antibodies. Antibodies are the little soldiers our immune system makes to fight infections. So our antibody soldiers learn how to fight off the coronavirus spikes without ever having to be infected with the actual coronavirus.
These vaccines can be quick and cheap to develop, but they are a relatively new technology.
An inactivated virus, which is used in Sinovac Biotech, is one that's been grown in a lab, then killed to destroy its ability to cause illness.
By modifying the virus to weaken or disable it, so that when introduced to the body, an immune response can be generated to the antigen, without the virus causing disease. When the immune system comes into contact with the weakened virus, its defences, such as antibodies and T cells, attack the virus or infected cells. In the process, specialised memory cells take note of the specific antigen and prime the immune system to produce cells and antibodies that will quickly target these proteins. So the next time that person is exposed to the same virus, the immune system is ready to fight it off.
A viral vector is a modified version of a harmless virus, or the vector, that delivers important instructions to our cells.
Viral vector vaccines achieve this by inserting the genetic code for the antigen into a harmless virus, which effectively acts like a delivery system to get the code into the cells without causing disease. Vector-based vaccines can be complex to develop, but they can trigger strong immune responses without the need for adjuvants. And in theory, one type of vector can be used to deliver code for a range of different antigens, which can speed up vaccine development.
Besides minute amounts of the active ingredient, water is the main ingredient that makes up the vaccine solution. All vaccines also contain different types of salt. The Sinovac vaccine uses an inorganic salt called aluminium hydroxide. It's a common vaccine ingredient used to trigger a stronger immune response in the body. Salts help to maintain the vaccine's pH levels or acidity and keep it similar to that of the human body. The mRNA vaccines contain different types of lipids or fats. These fats are synthesized in order to move the mRNA into the cells. Sugars, amino acids, and ethanol work as stabilizers. They preserve the vaccine's effectiveness over time and during temperature changes. For the Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna vaccines, which need to be kept at sub-zero temperatures, sugars help stabilize the vaccines in the extreme cold. The vaccines have faced religious hurdles, including in Muslim populations that follow halal rules on food preparation. Pork gelatin, which is not halal or permissible under Islam, is commonly used in vaccines to ensure stability during storage and transport. Pfizer-BioNTech, Moderna, Oxford-AstraZeneca, and Sinovac have all said their coronavirus vaccines do not contain pork-derived ingredients. Johnson & Johnson has yet to say whether its vaccine is free of animal derivatives. Several predominantly Muslim countries like Malaysia and the United Arab Emirates have ruled that all coronavirus vaccines are permissible, even if they contain non-halal ingredients. But while Indonesia's top Islamic body has given the green light to the Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccine, only Sinovac to date has been deemed holy and halal. Some Christians, notably Catholics, have moral concerns over the vaccine's links to abortion. Pfizer-BioNTech, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson used fetal cell lines to develop their vaccines, but the actual doses do not contain any fetal cells. The Vatican has since ruled on the issue, saying it is morally acceptable to receive COVID-19 vaccines that have used cell lines from aborted fetuses in their research and production process. Some vegans have also raised concerns about the vaccines. While some were tested on animals, none of the vaccines contain animal-derived ingredients, including eggs. As vaccine makers race to increase supply, there appears to be sufficient amounts of the ingredients needed to produce the jabs. One that may be in short supply, though, is the lipids needed to make the Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna vaccines. Nevertheless, leading vaccine manufacturers continue scaling up production in a race to produce enough shots to beat the global pandemic.
It's likely that a mixture of different approaches will be needed in order to stop the global spread of this coronavirus and end the pandemic.